Buddy Bryan here from Xact IT Solutions, bringing you another video about stuff that we do here at Xact IT, like cybersecurity and things like that around business. So if you are watching this video and you are on YouTube, please like and subscribe to our channel, or just like this video. We see the stats, we see you watching our videos, but you're not liking our videos for some reason. So if you're watching and you're getting good information, all that we ask in return for that information that we're giving you is hit that ravishing like button. So here we go. We want to talk about the Capital One breach, and I want to tie this into what we're seeing around IT and compliance in general, and what this means to businesses and CEOs like yourself. If you remember last year, Capital One had a breach. And Capital One had a sole hacker who basically had some inside information about how a system was configured and was able to steal customer information during a migration process when they were moving Capital One servers from an on-premise solution to the cloud. You've probably yourself heard or experienced yourself a move from servers in your business or in your building to the cloud. It's something that we do quite often here at Xact IT. It's something a lot of our clients have done over the past 5 years or so. So it's something most business people are pretty familiar with, especially if they started a business more than 5 or 7 years ago. They probably had a server in their building, and then either they still have it, or more than likely those services or those functions got moved to the cloud. And that's what Capital One was doing here when they were breached. But the interesting thing, and a lot of conversation I'm having with a lot of people lately, is the fallout that is occurring from these breaches. I just read an article today about the Uber chief security officer has now been indicted for the breach that they suffered. Basically, the feds are now going in at any level, and this isn't just the case with the feds. The feds are getting involved in the bigger cases. But just think about contracts that you may have signed with clients or vendors. Think about your cybersecurity policy. Think about any agreement or any contract you sign with somebody that specifically states in there that you're doing certain things around cybersecurity. Now, if you have cyber insurance, you've already signed one of these contracts. You already have in place a contract that states that you are going to abide by certain standards that you agreed to with your cyber insurance company. Your cyber insurance company gave you the standards. They're the ones that said, look, this is the minimum you have to do in order for us to write a policy for you. And they've evaluated that. And if you do have a policy, they've evaluated your risk, and they've determined that your risk is not great enough to where they wouldn't write you a policy. So you have a policy. There are many businesses who cannot obtain cyber security insurance because of the way they operate their business and the lack of cybersecurity solutions that they do have in place. We're seeing that a lot this year, where insurance companies are coming back and rejecting businesses, or they're rejecting entire industries as a whole, just because they know that industry is just too risky to cover when it comes to a cyber breach or cyber event. So I wanted to kind of bring this to your attention in this video because there are a lot of interesting things we can learn from other hacks, and I like to use the YouTube channel here to bring other businesses that have been breached and hacked and tie those to how they could how you can associate what they're doing at their business and associate it to your business, or learn from these mistakes so you don't end up in the same position that these companies are in. Capital One is a huge company. They have a ton of money, and I'm sure they have a ton of insurance too. Unfortunately, small businesses don't have the luxury of lawyers and deep pockets like Capital One. So if an event like this, or an event of this of this scale in terms of what was accessed, if you're a small business and you have a breach and important data is accessed, there's a very high likelihood that your business is not going to exist in the very near future. And if Capital One didn't have big pockets, they would be facing a similar fate with their situation. But the interesting thing is that the days of nobody being held responsible because of a cybersecurity event are over. I've been telling you in previous videos, they're coming to an end. They're officially over in my eyes. I'm going to talk you through an example here with Capital One, but there are thousands of these examples playing out every single day across the United States. Sometimes the feds and the law enforcement is getting involved. Sometimes it's just between private parties. It's just between your insurance company and your business. It's just between a vendor and your business. They're deciding not to do business with one another because the security risk is too great. And this is a real problem that CEOs are going to have to think about, and they're going to have to plan for, and they're going to have to do something about in order to continue to operate as normal. The days are over when businesses are going to just accept your compliance spreadsheet and say, okay, and not look into it and not check to see if you're really doing those things, or to see if the answers you supplied them are even accurate. If you're not working with a IT professional on filling out your compliance audits from your insurance company or from another vendor, there's a very high likelihood that you're putting information in these spreadsheets that is not accurate. And while, on the surface you can't be blamed for that because you're not the IT person, you're going to be the one who's blamed for it. It would be the same thing as if somebody prepared your taxes, you submitted them, there was a huge mistake in them, but you didn't have a preparer sign that form, you signed it yourself. It doesn't matter to the IRS that someone else prepared that for you. You signed the document without a preparer's signature. You're on the hook for the information that you put on there. It's the same thing with these audits. You're on the hook for the information that you put in them. So we do a lot of assessments at Xact IT. We have our team go in and we evaluate companies' networks and their cybersecurity plan. We find tons of companies, more than not, that are just completely not prepared for any kind of cyber security or cyber event to happen in their business, which means that they will not continue to operate should something horrible happen in their business around cyber security. Capital One, they're definitely able to operate and continue to operate, but here are some interesting things I found in this article that I see almost on a daily basis in a lot of different businesses. If you are a CEO and any of this sounds familiar to you, I would highly encourage you to talk to a third-party cybersecurity company about how you can improve things. Because at the end of the day, you're going to be held liable for this stuff. It's, your IT person may be held liable along with you, but at the end of the day, what we're seeing play out is CEOs are the ones being held responsible, because the reality of it is the CEOs are the ones who approve the budgets. CEOs are the ones who approve whether or not a true cybersecurity plan gets put in place because of the cost associated with it. An IT person usually, or an IT company, a third-party IT company, usually doesn't have the authority to make those types of decisions at that level. So the CEOs are the ones who are being held accountable for these things. So I'm going to jump into what I found interesting. And like I said, we do assessments all the time, and we tell companies all the time that their cybersecurity is not good, and they need to do a lot of work to shore it up. Some companies, take our word for that. They hire the right people. They hire our company. They hire maybe another company. They work with their current IT person or IT provider to get to where they need to be. And others, quite frankly, they brush it under the rug. They don't pay attention to it. They don't think that they are that big of a target or it's going to impact that many people if something bad would happen. But I'm here to tell you, it doesn't matter if you have one customer or a million customers. If you don't protect this information, you're going to be held accountable for it. And it doesn't matter if it's one record or a million records. It's still going to be a public relations nightmare, and you're probably not going to be able to survive in business. So here we go. Capital One. So in this article, it says this fine, they're going to be fined $80 million. And it says the fine will be paid to U.S. Treasury. And it said, in a consent order filed August 6th, the Office of the Comptroller of the Currency, the OCC, cited Capital One's failure to establish effective risk assessment processes prior to migrating significant information technology operations to the public cloud environment, and the bank's failure to correct the deficiencies in a timely manner. So what this basically means is every business, before they take on a large project like this, should do what's known as a business impact analysis. A business impact analysis will tell you what exactly will be impacted should this system not be available or have a problem like a cybersecurity incident along the way. These are all things that should be, as much as humanly possible, forethought and brought out and discussed within a plan, and then put in a plan to determine if we do run into this during this project, what are we going to do to, get around it, alleviate it, so it doesn't become worse. And in this case, the project was move data from a server in the office to the cloud. And typically, the way many IT companies handle this is they just plan around the technical portion of the project, meaning we know we have to get this data from point A to point B, and this is how we're going to do it technically. But no, a lot of IT companies and a lot of IT consultants fail to plan for what happens if something goes wrong during that process. What happens if something goes down? What happens if there's a breach? A lot of these breaches don't make it to the public eye. Or a lot of these events don't make it to the public eye. So if you are moving a server and you happen to have a problem and it doesn't result in the data records being exposed to the public or to people who shouldn't see them, but maybe it causes some downtime in your business, or the project takes longer than it should, those things happen often, and they need to be considered. When they do happen, a very well thought out project, and a project done the right way, considers these things as you're migrating information. So furthermore, in the order, the OCC provided a scathing indictment of the company's history of lax security. Capital One, a multi-billion-dollar bank that is under financial regulations, which means they have a ton of cybersecurity requirements that they're supposed to be abiding by. So discussing an incident where the company was made aware through an internal audit, so they had their own internal people audit their company, that its cybersecurity was woefully inadequate. So internal IT auditors told the company our cybersecurity was woefully inadequate. Yet the company's board of directors failed to take effective actions to hold management accountable. Under the order, the company must establish a compliance committee by the end of August, which will meet quarterly beginning in October and provide regular updates. This committee will assess if the company has any continuing cybersecurity issues and report with fixes within 60 days. The company is also required to create an action plan to detail how it's improving security. The Federal Reserve also issued a cease and desist order in accordance with the data breach, requiring the company to comply with the OCC order and to submit a series of plans within 90 days that outlines how the company plans to strengthen its risk management, internal controls, governance, among other things. Wow, that is a mouthful. But this is the stuff that Xact IT that we work on with businesses every day. Capital One is now being forced by OCC and the Fed to do this stuff. The people that oversee their business operations are now making them do this. They are making them have a committee that has oversight on the board to make sure that the board is making recommendations to the company to do cybersecurity the right way. So essentially this flows all the way to the top of the food chain here, to the board of directors of Capital One, that they were informed of the cybersecurity lax at Capital One. They did nothing about it. So now the government is stepping in and saying, if you want to continue to operate, these are the things you have to do. And this is the committee you have to have in place. And these are the things we want this committee to report to us. And these are the things. But quite frankly, this isn't above and beyond. This is exactly what Capital One should have been doing from day one. The government is actually making them do this now. And this kind of scenario is going to play out for businesses, in my mind, over the next 5 years. It could be quicker. But again, it's 5 years for you to implement it, but this is something that you're going to do for the rest of your time in business. These are the things you need to do. You need to be concerned with cybersecurity. You need to be concerned with compliance. You need to make sure that your business is doing the things it has to do to protect the data that your customers entrust you with. And that's it. So this is Bryan Hornung. I'm with Xact IT Solutions. If you have any questions, you have any comments, throw them down below in the comment section. We'd be happy to answer them for you. And if you have anything that you want us to put in a future video, you can throw that down in the comments as well. Take care, everyone. Have a good day.